All right, Congressman, the SAFER Act, that's what you've named it, the Second Amendment for Every Registrable Voter Act. Tell me about this.
Well, I think if you're old enough to vote, pick who the president is, old enough to die for your country and have to register for the draft, then you should be old enough to exercise all of your constitutional rights. Look, why should a 20-year-old mother be denied the right to defend herself? And that's what they're talking about. If they raise the age to buy a long gun to 21, the age to buy a handgun is already at 21. I think we should lower it to 18. And that's why I've introduced H.R. 5112. I think it's time to do this. You know, it went from 18 to 21 back in 1968, I think. But since then, we've had the Heller decision, which has affirmed that the Second Amendment applies to everybody.
Right. Do you believe it's unconstitutional for 18, 19, and 20-year-old law-abiding Americans not to be able to legally purchase a handgun?
It's absolutely unconstitutional, and there's no doubt in my mind if you raise the age to buy any gun to 21 that you have now completely extinguished somebody's right to keep and bear arms. And the Heller decision, they said, look, they didn't speak to the issue of whether you couldn't have gun control or not. They said that when the gun control becomes so oppressive that you've completely extinguished somebody's right to keep and bear arms, then it's unconstitutional. That's what would happen under these current proposals. And I think the fact that you have to be 21 to buy a handgun is already unconstitutional. In many states, you can get a concealed carry permit when you're 18. How are you going to acquire that gun, particularly if they close private transfers? Then nobody who's between the ages of 18 and 21 could get a handgun to exercise their constitutional right.
Right. Well, it seems to me that these ideas or these proposals, mostly coming from the left, President Trump has stated support at one time for them as well. But it seems to me these proposals are a lose-lose, because in practicality, if you raise the age to 21 to be able to buy a long gun or a rifle, that's not going to stop mass shooters, because the majority of mass shooters that use rifles are over 21 already. There's only been 2, I think, in the last 20 years who have been under 21, and one of those got the gun illegally. The other one should have been prohibited from getting it if law enforcement had done their job. Sir, what is the appetite in Congress right now? I know sitting here outside the Beltway, and I think this sentiment is shared by a lot of the American people, or at least those who support the Second Amendment. We worry that the appetite of Congress to protect our Second Amendment is not there. We worry that Congress will cave to the pressure, cave to the liberal talking points. What can you tell us about, I guess, how committed your colleagues in the House and then your counterparts in the Senate are to protecting our right to bear arms?
You know, some of the Republicans here are like those deputy sheriffs in Florida. They're afraid to go in. They're afraid to take fire. And so they're standing outside watching this gun debate happen. And the casualties and the Bill of Rights are racking up. We're going to lose due process. We're going to lose the Second Amendment if somebody doesn't go in and confront the liberals. And so that's why I'm taking it head on with legislation, H.R. 34, H.R. 5112. But some of my colleagues need a little bit of encouragement there from back home, because I think they're starting to forget what they came here for.
Right, and I guess right now that's a cue for my viewers to ask who those people are and what they can do. You can write in, you can call in, you can tell those people to make sure that they remember what they're there for, and that is to protect our constitutional rights, including our Second Amendment right to bear arms. Congressman Massie, thank you for being on the forefront of this fight. I appreciate it. My viewers appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to you today, sir.
Thanks for having me on, Liz.